Focus on our conversation today and how we can experience, personal growth in our learning institutions. My name is Nokip Kimboy, and today I'm joined by a very powerful panel. On my immediate left is Professor Romanus Odhiambo, who is the Vice Chancellor, Meru University of Science and Technology. Then next to Professor is Paul Mukoma, who is the CEO of Talanta Institute. Quite a gentleman right there, especially impact in the arts world. And joining us virtually all the way from Kakamega County is Professor Solomon Shibaro, who is the acting Vice Chancellor at Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology, and it is known as MUST. In short, maybe later on we'll get time to discuss some of these acronyms sounding very interesting. But before we do much, I'd like for us to understand our guests. So Professor Romanus Odhiambo has over 28 years progressive experience in academics, research and leadership, with over 20 years in senior leadership positions. Ask yourself how old you are, then compare. He has served in a number of substantive administrative leadership positions at Jomo Kenyatta University of Science and Technology. Over the years, Professor Odhiambo has also participated in curriculum review for the Commission for University Education since 2001. He'll be able to help us understand how, higher learning has evolved over time in regards to curriculum. At the same time, Professor Odhiambo has worked as an external examiner of statistics and mathematics in several universities in Kenya and Rwanda. And Rwanda is a buzzword these days. You mention Rwanda and the first thing you think is the best. Anyway, moving on to our other guest today, Professor Solomon Shibaro is the acting Vice Chancellor of Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology, an academician and scholar with numerous publications under his name. And we'll see whether at his personal level he's also taken initiative to mentor somebody or people as we talk matters career mentorship. But lastly, you have Mr. Paul Mukoma, who is a TV producer, entrepreneur, and a philanthropist, passionate about positive transformation in Africa through media. Paul is the CEO and founder of Princecom Media Limited, and he joins us today. Thank you very much, gentlemen, here and virtually. Welcome to our conversation today. So we are tackling matters, career mentorship. And starting with you, Professor Romanus, before even we talk about career mentorship, we should have what we call a career. So in the higher learning institutions, of which is your specialty, is your forte, briefly tell us the evolution of careers in the country, especially trained careers that normally, higher learning institutions take.
Thank you very much, and once again, good evening, Kenyans, and all of our people watching at me. Kenya has had several transformations when it comes to higher education. In the late 50s, of course, you remember we only had the Royal College, what is now called the University of Nairobi, and before that we had the Makerere University. And this finally developed into many things. And during those times, people were really celebrating the career. Maybe you are doing engineering, you are doing law, you are doing teaching, education, you are doing, medicine, and you are later on you are doing vet. You are doing vet doctor for the animals, those kind of things. And then perhaps you are doing art subject. Those are the real traditional courses that we have had over the years. Mm-hmm. But towards the end of the 90s, things start now becoming wider. And I think this comes as a result of technological advancement and what have you. And so you find things like computer science taking a center stage. You find things like, things like actuarial science coming into being. Of late, you find things like financial engineering coming up, the data analytics or data science for us who are in statistics coming up, the IT-related, the software development coming up, and from COVID time, much 2020 last year. Again, very, very, very fast things are coming up. You know, things like digital technology,
Yes.
the software engineering, all these are coming up. And I see a lot of many things, even in sciences, a lot of things coming up. As far as career are concerned. And then these traditional ones that have been there again, you can still find they are still useful, but then there are some new skills, some competencies that are still required that are also coming up to make us fit in the evolving career world. Thank you.
Definitely, that is quite interesting. You've gone all the way back in the 50s, and you know, even before you happened to be your Prince. What is the name of the institution again you used to call it? UON initially. It was called?
Royal Technical College.
Royal Technical College.
Yeah,
Look at that. Sounds very foreign and very colonial.
Yes, of course.
Now we have V. They like insisting the V. But that's a discussion for another day. But that is quite interesting, the evolution. I want to bring in Professor Shibaro. Professor, I mean, Professor Odhiambo has noted the way we've seen a career change. From your observation, being a seasoned academic, tell us whether the higher learning institutions, the role they have played in this evolution, and whether they have upgraded as these changes occur externally within the learning institutions. Have we also evolved, and how?
Thank you, Kenyans, and thank you, Noah Kipkemboi. At least I didn't have an opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Professor Solomon Igosangwa Shibairo, a professor of horticulture of the University of Nairobi. I joined the University of Nairobi in the year 1980 as an undergraduate. And since that time, I've pursued my career as an academician all the way to master's the year 1989. Then I joined and became an assistant lecturer. I saw you being surprised, the Romanos being a lecturer in the year 1992. I was one in the year 1991. Then I've risen through the ranks through senior lecturer to associate professor and professor. And I've been blessed to be an acting vice chancellor, a deputy vice chancellor of academics in Kibabe University. And currently, I'm the acting vice chancellor, Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology. Now, to come back to what has been happening, Romanas has taken us very well through the changes. At least he made an attempt. We have been having a lag. For example, the most recent one in terms of COVID has forced us to go online. And many universities and higher academic institutions took time praying that the changes that are there would just vanish away. But they didn't. For us, who could see the end of the thing, we entered into what we call ODEL. That's online electronic learning. And now we go to our students through that. So we are teaching through that means. And secondly, not only do we teach through that, we are doing all other functions through ODEL. For example, examinations. We are learning and interacting through ODEL and other means. I don't know whether they're still hearing me. Yeah. Sorry.
Definitely, we can get you clearly, Prof.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I wasn't sure. You went quiet.
Definitely. Once you mentioned 91...
We are changing. Yeah. Yes. So there are changes going on,
yes,
although we lag behind. And I trust our universities are trying their best. And they're just like the many parts in the world we are, and we interact as we teach. We teach students, we train them online. We connect them with industry even online. We are also acquiring equipment that others also have that are modern state of art. like the video conferencing. At this university here, we are even proud, like we are also testing COVID, especially that rapid testing mechanism, but soon we are going to PCR. So we are not lagging behind. I believe we are like the rest of the world. Thank you.
Definitely, very important. And thank you for that clarification. So Professor started, lecturing in 91. Yeah, we keep going lower. I hope, Paul, you didn't start lecturing in 1990. But Paul, you are in the media industry, looking at the disruptions that Professor Shibaro has mentioned. It's forced us online, the COVID-19. You are in the media space. This is the age where everyone has a YouTube channel and everyone is selling something on Instagram or their WhatsApp status. I mean, for you as a practitioner in academia, but specifically dealing on media, how have you evolved with these changes that have been occasioned by this particular pandemic?
Thank you very much, Noah. And I'm excited to be on this panel with Prof here. With time now I'll get an honorary doctorate. So I hope I'll do a good job and I can get an honorary doctorate. But going back to my story, actually when I cleared school, I wanted to be an engineer. Then I didn't manage to attain the grade. Then I did hospitality. Then I found myself in media, learning photography through a mentor. And that's how we started Princecam Media. And we produced quite a number of award-winning videos from the days of Esther Home, Angela Chibalonza, Masi Masika, and many other TV programs that we have produced. And if I look at just my generation, I don't come from way back like Prof here. But, we started the company in the year 2005 is when we started Princecam Media. But even from then to now, a lot has happened. So the change is happening so fast, so drastic, that it's at times even very difficult to keep up. We started with filming with a tape, cameras using the videotapes and films. And now to where we started using some digital tapes, then now to memory cards. Now we were recording high definition. Now it's moving from high definition to even 4K videos. So it's changing so fast that even keeping up with that, you really need to be updated every day.
Yes.
And with that now, like you've asked me now, people moving to social media platforms. That we have a young man behind the scenes there doing a video on Instagram because so many of his generation is not watching TV. They are on IG, so they're watching this on IG. And that's how it has moved. That these guys now, they want to watch more on the phone than on TV. So it's moving so fast, and that's how I feel even when it comes to education, we really need to see how do we move even faster, so that we are not playing a catch-up game, because we're in an era where, one of my mentors told me that the people we are trying to teach or regulate, they're actually sometimes ahead. That you're teaching a student and they're on Google checking, counter-checking what you said and seeing what everybody else in the world is talking about. So we're in that era where the world is at our fingertips, and a new camera, is released, and today everybody knows about it. A new technology, the young people are at it, and they're creating. Actually, right now we have a new generation we are calling creators. Some of these creators are creating while they're still in high school. They are creating TikTok videos, IG videos, and some of them actually, even before they get to 18, they're already making millions through those platforms. So that's the kind of change that is happening so fast, and that's what we are doing as Talanta Institute, trying to learn them and teach as fast as we can, because some of them we are learning from the guys who are actually creating without even learning from a curriculum. So it's a very interesting time to be
Definitely.
To be in.
I mean, you've taken us TBT since it's Monday. We call it TBM, Throwback Monday. Kuna dawa back then in the days. The way that has changed now, 4K videos. There's 8K.
And now
it's
they are
crazy.
even shooting on phone. They are doing videos on phone, and you watch them on TV. They can shoot a video tonight, and tomorrow the video is on TV. Those days, it used to take time even to download footage from your tape to the computer. It's taking real time. But right now, on phone, they can shoot a video, release it, and tomorrow it has 1 million views or more.
Definitely.
You can imagine.
I remember the age of firewire cables. You sit there patiently copying footage. But, you know, I'm glad, you know, Mkoma Prof, he keeps mentioning, you know, my mentor told me this, my mentor told me that. And when we talk about mentorship, especially in higher learning institutions, for my 4 years in campus, I don't know whether I was not intentional enough to get somebody to mentor me, but as an institutions, what measures have you taken to create, you know, a mentorship program that can impact students? And what does it take to create an effective mentorship program in a higher learning institution?
Thank you very much. Mentorship is about a relationship between two people. One of them want to know something, want to grow up, want to know a career, want to know even how to be a father. Hello, are you there? Want to know how to be a preacher like Paul and Timothy. Are you there? You know, want to know on how to be a vice chancellor, so there's a DVC working under him. Want to know how to be, you know, an adult. So there's a young person and there's an adult somewhere there. So it's a relationship. Now, back to your question and comment in the universities. Universities are structured in such a way that at every stage, there's actually a mentor. The terms may be different, but you see, you come to first year and you must have met them, even though you don't know they were mentors. You get an academic advisor. Actually, that's an academic mentor. He tells you, there are these kind of things, there are these kind of programs. Perhaps you can go and interrogate your thinking and see what is it that you want, and then you come back, and then he tries to shape your thinking as you move on. Then you go to second year, you know, you are still just doing general courses. You have not decided on what you want to focus on. Then perhaps there's a professor there who is a professor of mathematical statistics who has been there for almost 30 years, by the way, now. Then you want to sit down with me and ask me, sir, how did you grow up in all this time? And we know that statisticians normally are not so much respected in this country, and now you are a CEO, our CEO. You know, how? Then I'll tell you, no, you have to do this kind of thing. You have to be disciplined. You have to be focused. There are some courses when you do in statistics, you also require ICT. You also require to know how to talk with people. You also require how to relate with people. When you do this, you network, then you'll find that you are always following the right route. So yes, in the universities, there are mentorship. And again, right now, in all public universities, I suspect also in the private universities, there's also the Directorate of Quality Assurance and Career Services. And one of the sections that really consider in the career section is basically mentorship on what careers are available. The young people nowadays come to universities and colleges when they are very young. They don't know. They're just coming from high school. And so in this directorate, we have mentors. We have people who can actually work with them and tell them this is what is supposed to be done. And I think these people are always there. People like us who have been professors, we are old people. We are the priests of the university. We are the ones who are normally put from the very beginning, at the beginning, the first years. We are the ones who are supposed to be teaching first years. And the wisdom about that is to provide mentorship to the students, that you can talk with them on career from the very beginning, that if you take this road, this is how you'll go. If you take this one, this is how you go. And that is the essence why most of the time in all universities, professors are the ones who are supposed to teach the first years.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the main thing. And even when you go to high schools, most of the career advisors are those that have been in the teaching profession for a long time. If you go to church, I'm a pastor, by the way, you find the senior pastors have put people there who are like Paul to the young Timothy like you, and tell you, this is how we do things. This is how you shepherd the condos in the church and all the rest. So that's what it is. So to answer your question, yes, mentorship is very active in university, especially in my university, Mero University of Science and Technology. And I've allowed students all the time to make sure that they walk into academic advisors' offices,
Okay.
into the heads of the department offices,
All right.
even to the vice chancellor himself.
All right.
Thank you.
Definitely. That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
And at this particular moment, I want us to take a look at, from the School of Agriculture and Food Science, Mary University, is Dr. Joan Thuita, who has a small address on what they're doing in that particular school. Take a look.
In the School of Agriculture and Food Science, our vision is to train highly skilled personnel in agriculture, food science, and animal science, and then release them to the industry so that they can help to actualize Vision 2030 and the Big Four agenda of the government.
We have about 14 labs and workshops. You are in only one of them. And we have the traditional 3 disciplines in engineering at the moment, that is mechanical engineering, electrical and electronic, and civil and environmental engineering. All of them are courses that have been mounted beginning in the last 5 or 6 years before now. So we have a lot of new equipment that we encourage the young people to come and use.
Well, there you have it, 2 different schools, and the main focus there is how to accomplish the purpose of higher learning institutions. So how do we make learning more efficient, and also how do we empower students to be able to not only learn, but to be able to do something once they leave school, so applicability of it. And right now I want to bring in Professor Shibairo. Professor, Romanus has spoken about what he's doing at Mary University in terms of being intentional on matters mentorship. You are the conversation today since you started lecturing in 1991. So tell us, in terms of the change, in terms of intentionality of higher learning institutions, having and placing mentors, especially for students, how intentional is that process? And you could give us an example that you're doing at most.
Yes, to begin with, I'm really a priest. When I was young, as a young man and even up to now, I've been a Sunday school teacher, and therefore I find myself mentoring teenagers. Now, at Masinde Muliro University, we are intentional. We began by forming the Office of Career Services 3 years ago, and there are several things we have done through that office. One, in addition to what they are doing at Mary University, we are also instilling what we call core values of the university during the students' induction, especially when they come in during the orientation week. We have a talk with them, we practice, and have even all the talented people who come and talk to students about the values of the university. Then we have a mentor-mentee structure whereby we have lecturers and even professors mentoring students directly. Second level is where we have senior students mentoring junior students. And this is done through what we call peer counselors programs. To date, this university has trained over 265 students, peer counselors. These are students who have been taught and trained on how to mentor the young ones. We also do intentional mentoring during industrial attachment, and we have a very strong school of education, and therefore we do it during teaching practice. The students who go out learn real life, they're exposed to real life experience, and hence hands-on experience and interaction with their stakeholders. We also intentionally invite speakers who are role models in different areas. For example, people who have dealt with the drug issue, They may come and speak to students on different levels, people who are talented in different ways. Like, for example, you may bring Alex Chamwada or someone who is talented in media. Then we have formed strong linkages with non-universities in the world. At the moment, we have strong leadership linkages with universities across the world, like in the US. We have Brandenburg in Germany, Stanford in the US, Ball State University in the US, Oulu in Sweden, and Manchester in the UK, apart from our local ones. These visitations, or rather exchanges, we bring people with different skills that may come and mentor our own students. In doing all kinds of activities, for example, when we are doing research and even publications, we encourage what we call peer review of whatever we do. Finally, we have what we call the Alumni Association, whereby we use alumni who are out there and they have shown good success in different areas. They come and talk to our students. And therefore, we achieve, among these, a good mentorship program. Finally, we have a very strong sports culture. If you recall, like yesterday, our rugby team, it did very well. It's at the national club. It did very well. And we are currently ranked #2 on the league. These people mentor the younger ones. They end up admiring to spur up their talent. We also have the East African Ladies Championship in terms of soccer. It's most who are leading in this. This was a good example of the younger ones. They wish to be seen to be that way, and so on.
Definitely. And I'm glad the teams are doing very well. I wouldn't want to be mentored under rugby, and that will be very dangerous for my health. But Paul, we want to take a short break right now. But remember, Professor is a pastor. Professor is also a Sunday school teacher. I hope you're doing something in the church. Let's take a short break right here.
Yes,
we'll come back with more. Stay tuned.